It is the dawn of November 28, 1469, inside Saejingjin Hall of DeathOfAKing Palace. Immediately after the death of King Jeonghui, barely 20 years old, the dimly lit private chamber, where only candlelight flickered erratically, held the era's most powerful officials, Han Myung-ho, Shin Suk-ju, Jong In-ji, and others, their faces pale. A suffocating silence hung in the air, with no one daring to speak, only exchanging uneasy glances. In the winter of 1469, a terror more profound than the king's death permeated the heart of Joseon. After only 14 months on the throne, the young king had passed away, leaving the throne empty. Han Myung-ho swallowed dryly and looked at Shin Suk-ju. Shin Suk-ju merely shook his head, his face resolute. There were 3 candidates to succeed the throne, Jae and Daegun, the 4-year-old son of the deceased King Jeonghui, and 2 sons of Crown Prince Wigyong, Yejeong's elder brother who died young, namely Wulsan Daegun and Julsan-gun. On this treacherous thin ice, where principles and legitimacy, reality and the direction of power were entangled like a spider's web, a hasty word meant certain death. The heavy doors of the private chamber opened, startling all the ministers who turned towards the entrance. Queen Dowager Jeonghui, clad in mourning attire, entered with an unwavering stride. Her face, that of a mother who had lost her son, showed not grief but a cold determination. As everyone held their breath, a woman entered, opening the doors of history. Queen Dowager Yun, the mother of the previous king and the most senior elder of the nation. From her lips, the name of the next king would be decided. Soon, we will return to her most dramatic moment, when she personally donned her husband's armor, ushering in a bloody chapter of history. But before that, we must first understand how this woman could reign over these monstrous power wielders. Today, the history teller delves into the fervent life story of Queen Jeonghui, the woman who made her husband king and was the first in Joseon to step onto the stage of history herself. Scene 1, A Fateful Marriage, The Ambitious Wife. The time is the autumn of 1428, in a scholar official's family home in Hanyang. The 11-year-old child bride Yoon Jae-sun, later Queen Jeonghui, and the 12-year-old groom Prince Jinpyeong, later Grand Prince Suyang, are holding their wedding with youthful faces. In the background sit King Sejong and Queen Sohyun, both with benevolent smiles. Queen Jeonghui's beginnings were as Yoon Jae-sun, the daughter of an ordinary scholar official family. At the age of 11, she was chosen to be the second daughter-in-law of King Sejong, Joseon's greatest benevolent ruler, and married Grand Prince Suyang, who would later become King Sejong. Time passes to the spring of 1445, in the study of Grand Prince Suyang's private residence. A much older Grand Prince Suyang is deeply lost in thought, having stopped reading his book. His wife, Lady Yun, Queen Jeonghui, quietly enters carrying tea. Queen Jeonghui sets down the tea and speaks. It seems you are deeply troubled by affairs of state. Grand Prince Suyang sighs and replies.
My dear wife, His Majesty's health weakens day by day, and the Crown Prince naturally frail?
Queen Jeonghui calmly looks into Suyang's eyes and says. Perhaps it is heaven's will. Grand Prince Suyang looks at his wife in surprise.
My dear wife, the meaning of those words.
Your Highness's talent and spirit far surpass those of your other brothers. It means that you, who possess both literary and martial arts, should become the cornerstone of this nation. For now, it is merely a time to wait for the opportune moment and accumulate power. Do not neglect your studies and keep talented individuals by your side. Next to her intelligent and ambitious husband, Grand Prince Suyang, who sometimes showed emotional fluctuations, his wife Lady Yun was such a cool-headed advisor and comrade. She had already seen through the flow of political events and the nature of power. Scene 2, Dark Clouds, A Coming Storm of Blood. It is the summer of 1452, at Jeonjeongjin Hall in DeathOfAKing Palace. The frail King Munjung passed away after only 2 years on the throne, and the 12-year-old Danjung ascended. Danjung, seated on the throne, wears an anxious expression, while below him, elder ministers like Kim Jong-seo and Wang Boen stand imposingly. Prince Suyang stands behind them with other royal family members, his expression resolute. after his father-in-law King Sejong departed, and even his elder brother King Munjung passed away early, the throne fell to his nephew Danjung, who was merely 12 years old. The hilt of power naturally fell into the hands of influential ministers like Kim Jong-seo and Wang Bo-in. On an early summer night in 1453, Prince Suyang, his strategist Han Myung-ho, and Gwon Ram are secretly seated facing each other in the Serenki of Prince Suyang's private residence. Han Myung-ho says in a lowered voice,
"Your Royal Highness, you must no longer hesitate. Kim Jong-seo's power seems to pierce the heavens."
Gwon Ram continues,
Lord Han is right. Look at those who now wield all power under the name of Wangpyo Jiangsa. They already fear your Royal Highness the most.
Prince Suyang says, furrowing his brow as if in agony.
But to overthrow the country of my young nephew, is that not treason?
Han Myung-ho exclaims resolutely.
"Your Royal Highness, this is not treason but a decisive act to save the nation and restore the royal house. If we leave things as they are, the royal family will be humiliated by corrupt officials and the foundation of the nation will be shaken."
Prince Suyang empties his wine cup without a word. His eyes tremble fiercely. Kill or be killed. There were only two options. Prince Suyang and his wife knew better than anyone the bloody history in which countless princes had vanished into the mists of history. Even Prince Suyang, an ambitious man, was agonizing over this monumental decision. Scene 3, the armor donned by his wife. It is the inner quarters of Grand Prince Suyang's private residence on the night of October 10, 1453, the day of the planned coup. Grand Prince Suyang paces anxiously around the room. His face is a mix of resolve and fear. Just then, Queen Jeonghui enters the room, carrying something. Grand Prince Suyang looks at his wife and speaks.
Wife. Dawn will soon break. I still dawn. No. Is this path truly the right one? What if?
Queen Jeonghui unties the bundle she brought. Inside, there is a coldly gleaming suit of armor. She silently lifts the armor and presents it to Grand Prince Suyang. Grand Prince Suyang is surprised.
No, wife. What in the world?
Queen Jeonghui speaks in a firm, cold voice. Grand Prince Suyang remains silent. Queen Jeonghui continues speaking. Grand Prince. What resides in your heart now is not conviction for the great cause, but fear of failure. But consider this. If we do not draw our swords now, tomorrow morning Kim Jong-seo's sword will be at our throats.
But my young nephew. How could I?
Queen Jeonghui takes a step closer, looking directly into Suyang's eyes. Ruthlessness is inherent in a great undertaking. If you falter now, not only your life, Grand Prince, but also mine, our children's, and the lives of countless people who trust and follow you, will perish with you. Queen Jeonghui begins to personally dress Grand Prince Suyang in the armor. She firmly ties the knots of the armor as she speaks. The arrow has already left the bowstring. Do not look back. Only move forward and pierce the enemy's heart. I will wait here in this house with our children for news of your victory. Go, Grand Prince. Grand Prince Suyang's eyes change once he is fully armored. His hesitation vanishes, replaced only by a sharp, glittering resolve like that of a hawk. He glances at his wife silently, then bursts through the door and departs. His wife's resolute decision became the sword that severed her husband's last hesitation. This was the Jeongnan, the bloody prelude that changed the course of Joseon history. Queen Jeonghui was not merely a woman who awaited her husband's success. She was a kingmaker who read the currents of history, pushed her husband forward at the decisive moment, and forged their destiny. A short while later, what awaited Queen Jeonghui on the blood-stained throne was the beginning of an unimaginable tragedy. Scene 4, The Queen's Tears, the first tragedy. It is the autumn of 1457, inside Jyatijin Hall in Gyeongbokgung Palace. Queen Jeonghui, now queen, and King Sejong, now king, sit facing each other. Their son, Crown Prince Wigyung, is with them. They appear to be a harmonious family, but deep sorrow is etched on King Sejo's face. King Sejo pats his son Crown Prince Wigyung's shoulder and speaks.
Crown Prince, you love learning and possess a kind nature, which brings joy to your father. However, a monarch must also know how to wield a sword when necessary.
Queen Jeonghui smiles and says, Your Majesty, the Crown Prince is still young. He will gradually learn your strength and resilience. Her husband became king, and she became the mother of the nation. It seemed as though they had gained everything. However, the cost of power acquired through bloodshed was severe. Her husband, King Sejo, who had driven his nephew Danjung to death and purged countless officials, suffered from nightmares and guilt his entire life. And the shadow of that karma began to fall upon Queen Jeonghui's life as well. The scene changes. Crown Prince Wigyung lies pale and sickly in his chambers. The royal physicians check his pulse but shake their heads. Queen Jeonghui holds her son's hand, weeping. Queen Jeonghui sobs and speaks. Crown Prince, my son, please, regain your consciousness. Your mother is right here, isn't she? Crown Prince Wigyung laboriously opens his eyes and speaks.
Mother! For my filial impiety, forgive me.
Crown Prince Wigyung's hand drops limply. Queen Jeonghui buries her face in her son's chest, wailing. No. This cannot be. Her first son, Crown Prince Wigyung, who was her hope and pride, tragically passes away at the tender age of 20. The Queen's sorrow, having buried her son first in her heart, was boundless. Scene 5. Her husband's agony, her last companion. It is the winter of 1467, in Gangneongjin Hall of Gyeongbok Palace. King Sejo lies on his sickbed, groaning in extreme pain. Afflicted by boils all over his body, he cannot lie comfortably even for a moment. Queen Jeonghui, with weary eyes, watches over him, wiping his sweat with a damp cloth. King Sejo speaks amidst his pain.
Queen, I had a dream. The deceased Queen Hyeon-deok appeared, spitting on me and cursing me.
Queen Jeonghui speaks, trying hard to hold back her tears. Your Majesty, please do not utter such futile words. It is all due to the illness. You must regain your strength. Sejo grasps Queen Jeonghui's hand with difficulty.
Queen, I am sorry. Because of me, you have suffered all your life.
Queen Jeonghui clasps Sejo's hand and speaks. Your Majesty, what is past cannot be undone. We have merely walked the path we chose. Regret changes nothing. Even amidst the sorrow of losing her sons, she was a wife and queen who had to support her crumbling husband. Even King Sejo, her lifelong companion, was wasting away from a terrible illness. In 1468, King Sejo ultimately abdicated his throne to his second son, Grand Prince Haeng, and brought his tumultuous life to an end. Scene 6. An uneasy accession, a powerless young king. In the autumn of 1468, the young Yejong, 19 years old, ascended the throne in Jeonjeongjin Hall at Gyeongbokgung Palace. His mother, Queen Jeonghui, now the Queen Dowager, watched him with worried eyes from behind. In the court, meritorious subjects from his father's generation, such as Han Myongho and Shin Sukju, wielded immense power. Upon ascending the throne, King Yejong was just 19 years old. The meritorious subjects who had forged a bloody history alongside his father, King Sejo, looked down upon the young king and challenged his authority at every turn. In the summer of 1469, Yejong visited his mother, Queen Jeonghui, in the Queen Dowager's quarters to express his grievances.
Mother, those old fox-like ministers utterly disregard me. When I tried to promote Jeonghui, whom the late king had favored, Han Myongho and Shin Sukju came en masse, vehemently opposing it. I am powerless to do anything.
Queen Jeonghui spoke calmly. Your Majesty, to catch a tiger, one must enter its den. Now is not the time. They are meritorious subjects who helped found the nation with the late king. While acknowledging their achievements and giving them justification, you must gradually plant your own people. Yejong expressed his frustration.
But, mother, how long must I watch their every move and wait?
Queen Jeonghui looked at her son with sorrowful eyes. Your Majesty. Anger is the enemy a monarch must guard against most. Anger without power is mere stubbornness. Endure a little longer and wait. Queen Jeonghui tried to be her son's strength in every way she could, but fate was about to snatch away her last remaining hope. The greatest storm, one that would completely alter her life, was already at her doorstep. The story of that most shocking night in Joseon history is about to begin. 7th scene, the king's death, an empty throne. It's the dawn of November 28, 1469, at Jamadang Hall in Gyeongbok Palace. The young king Yejong collapses, complaining of a sudden abdominal pain. Royal physicians rush to administer acupuncture and medicine, but Yejong's face gradually turns pale. Outside the royal chambers, Queen Jeonghui waits restlessly. A court eunuch cries out, his voice choked with emotion.
Your Majesty.
Queen Jeonghui screams, her face reflecting utter devastation. What? What are you saying? Queen Jeonghui rushes into the royal chambers. Yejong has already drawn his last breath. Clinging to her son's lifeless body, she murmurs to herself in a daze, unable to even cry out loud. Haeang. My son. How could even you? Just 14 months after his ascension, the young king Yejong unexpectedly passed away, following in his elder brother's footsteps. The grief of a mother who had lost her husband and buried both her sons before herself was immeasurable. Yet, she was not even allowed the time to mourn. Scene 8, a grueling battle of wits, 3 choices. Immediately after King Yejong's passing, we are once again in Sejijin Hall of Gyeongbokgung Palace. As Queen Dowager Jeonghui enters, all the ministers prostrate themselves. A palpable tension grips the faces of the meritorious subjects, including Han Myung-ho, Shin Suk-ju, Jong In-ji, and Gu Chi-gwan. Han Myung-ho, still prostrate, addresses her.
We pay our respects to Your Majesty, the Grand Royal Dowager Queen. What brings Your Majesty here at this hour of dawn?
Queen Dowager Jeonghui sweeps her gaze across the gathered officials and speaks in a cold voice. All of you, sit. This is no time for formalities. The nation's throne is vacant. How shall we handle this matter? Shin Suk-ju, sweating, speaks.
Forgive my presumption, Your Majesty.
The succession to the throne is the very foundation of the royal ancestral shrine and the state itself. By principle, Prince Jean, the son of the late king.
Gu Chi-gwan interrupts, stepping forward.
Chief State Counselor. Prince Jean is merely 4 years old. How can a 4-year-old child possibly lead this tumultuous nation?
Jong In-ji agrees.
Gu Chi-gwan speaks truly. If the sovereign is too young, it will only give foreign relatives and treacherous officials room to run rampant.
Queen Dowager Jeonghui looks directly at Han Myung-ho and asks. What are your thoughts, Lord Sangdang Buwang? Han Myung-ho remains silent for a moment before opening his mouth.
Your Majesty, the Grand Royal Dowager Queen. In that case, the succession should be sought from the lineage of Crown Prince Wigeon, the late king's elder brother.
At the mention of Prince Wolson's name, several ministers nod. However, Queen Dowager Jeonghui shows no change in her expression. The situation was complex. The principle dictated Prince Jean, King Yejong's son, but he was far too young. The next option was Prince Wolson, the eldest son of her deceased elder son, which also held sufficient justification. Yet, Queen Dowager Jeonghui's mind was envisioning a grander scheme that no one could possibly imagine. Scene 9, the name that changed history, Jal Sengan. A suffocating silence enveloped the royal court. All eyes were fixed on Queen Jeonghui. She closed her eyes, seemingly lost in thought for a moment, then slowly opened her mouth as if having made a decision. Queen Jeonghui spoke in a low but resolute voice that everyone could hear. All the ministers swallowed hard. Queen Jeonghui declared. At that moment, the air in the royal court froze. Everyone doubted their own ears. Han Myung-ho's eyes, in particular, widened in shock, for it was the second son, not the eldest, and moreover, Joseon, his own son-in-law, who had been named. Shin Suk-ju stammered as he reported.
Yo! Your Majesty!
Queen Jeonghui glared fiercely at Shin Suk-ju and spoke. Chief State Counselor. From ancient times, establishing a wise ruler has been fundamental to founding a nation. As Joseon is more astute than Wulsangan and shows the qualities of a monarch, he ought to inherit the throne. Queen Jeonghui rose from her seat and approached Han Myung-ho. She looked him straight in the eye and spoke. Grand Prince Consort Sangdang, you are my in-law. And is not Joseon your son-in-law? As the father-in-law of the child who will become the new king, you, Prince Consort, must lead in assisting the young king and stabilizing this court. Han Myung-ho instantly realized Queen Jeonghui's immense political calculation and trembled. He quickly prostrated himself and cried out.
I shall uphold the sacred will of Her Royal Majesty, the Grand Queen Dowager. Joseon is truly the only sagacious ruler capable of bringing order to this chaotic nation. Your humble servant, Han Myung-ho.
Queen Jeonghui's decision was not a simple choice. It was a marvelous political gamble that saw through an entire era. By making Han Myung-ho the most powerful figure of his time, her son-in-law, king, she drew the most influential meritorious faction to her side. Furthermore, the king's young age of 13 provided her, the grandmother and the nation's most senior elder, with a perfect justification to govern the state. Scene 10, the first Queen of Joseon, drawing the curtain. Morning of November 28, 1469, at Junjeongjin Hall, Gyeongbok Palace. The 13-year-old Prince Joseon, later King Songjong, ascends the throne in an awkward dragon robe. Behind the throne, a screen is drawn, and behind it sits Grand Royal Dowager Queen Jeonghui. All the officials prostrate themselves, bowing to the new king. With the 13-year-old Songjong's ascension, Queen Jeonghui officially begins Surium Chongjeong, Regency from behind the curtain, a first in Joseon history. The king's grandmother, a woman, would now directly govern the nation. It was the moment a woman, who had stood behind her husband and then her son, finally stepped into the center stage of history as its protagonist. In the royal lecture hall, young Songjong studies classics with scholars. Behind the screen, Queen Jeonghui quietly listens to everything. Songjong reads from a book and speaks. A scholar replies with satisfaction.
Yes, Your Majesty.
After the royal lecture, Queen Jeonghui summons Songjong to her chambers. Your Majesty. Songjong replies.
Yes, Royal Grandmother.
Queen Jeonghui speaks gently yet firmly. That is incorrect. That is only half the truth. True benevolent rule means possessing not only virtue but also the power to protect that virtue. Virtue without power is merely an empty cry, and power without virtue is nothing but violence. Your Majesty must cultivate virtue through study and learn how to gain strength by governing the court. This grandmother will watch over you until you become a great monarch possessing both. Songjong, impressed by his grandmother's wisdom, replies.
Yes, Royal Grandmother.
Queen Jeonghui's rule was not about wielding power. Her sole goal was to raise her young grandson into the nation's greatest sagacious ruler. 11th scene, wise governance, healing wounds. This is a court meeting during the Regency period. The old meritorious retainers led by Shin Suk-ju and the young literati, including Kim Jong-jik, are in a fierce confrontation. Shin Suk-ju raises his voice.
Your Majesty. How can you entrust the crucial post of the Ministry of War to those young and inexperienced individuals?
Kim Jong-jik counters without backing down.
Chief State Counselor. How can affairs of state be governed solely by swords and spears? In a new era, we need talented individuals armed with new knowledge and ideas.
As the atmosphere grew tense, Queen Jeonghui's voice was heard from behind the screen. Enough, all of you. For a successful hunt, the experience of an old tiger and the sharp eyes of a young hawk must be combined. The wisdom and experience of the old meritorious retainers are the foundation of this nation and must be respected, and the vigor of the new faction is the nation's future and should be treasured. The chief state counselor should guide the young ministers like sons, and the young ministers should revere the chief state counselor like a father. Queen Jeonghui thus skillfully mediated the conflicts between the old and new factions, striving for political stability. Furthermore, during the reign of her husband Sejong, she implemented warm governance that embraced the people, comforting those wounded by the bloody purges and releasing those unjustly enslaved back into commoner status. Scene 12, The Appointed Hour, a gracious retreat. It is the Grand Queen Dowager's palace in 1476. Sungjung, who has grown into a dignified young man of 20, kneels before his grandmother, Queen Jeonghui. This is the day the 7-year regency ends. Sungjung speaks.
Grandmother, for the past 7 years, you have shielded this grandson from all trials and taught me wisdom. Your grace is as vast as the heavens.
Queen Jeonghui takes her grandson's hand with a warm smile and speaks. Your Majesty, you have grown up now. This grandmother trusts you. I shall now return to my place, live quietly as an ordinary grandmother, praying for your well-being. Just make one promise to me. Sungjung replies, his eyes welling up with tears.
Yes, grandmother.
Queen Jeonghui personally rolls up the royal curtain. Then, without a trace of regret, she steps back and gazes contentedly at Sungjung, who is seated on the throne. As promised, she gracefully relinquished all power and returned to the position of an ordinary grandmother. She proved that she had walked that arduous path not out of a desire for power, but solely out of a sense of responsibility for the stability of the royal family and the future of the nation. Upon the solid foundation she had laid, Sungjung was able to usher in Joseon's greatest golden age, the Pyongseongdi. Scene 13, the heroine falls asleep. It is the spring of 1483, at Anyang Temporary Palace. Queen Jeonghui, aged 66, closes her eyes with a peaceful expression. Warm spring sunlight streams in through the window. In the distance, the panoramic view of Gyeongnam, where her husband King Sejong rests, is visible. In 1483, Queen Jeonghui ended her eventful life at the age of 66. A woman who began as a man's wife and mother of 2 sons, went on to make her grandson a king, and became Joseon's first female ruler. At every moment of crisis, she made the boldest decisions, changing the course of the dynasty's history with those choices. Her life was a continuous series of momentous decisions and responsibilities. Epilogue, what will your choice be? Looking back at Queen Jeonghui's life, we are reminded once more how a single individual's choice can create monumental waves. Despite the personal tragedy of losing her husband and son in quick succession, she never succumbed to despair. Instead, she transformed that grief into an even greater sense of responsibility, stabilizing a nation in crisis and ushering in a new era. In our own lives, too, there are moments, much like Queen Jeonghui's, when storms rage without warning. In the face of a crisis so difficult it makes one want to give up everything, she neither fled nor blamed others. Trusting in her own wisdom and experience, she made the most responsible decision. Queen Jeonghui's story asks us today, what choices will you make in the face of crises that strike your family and your life? How much stronger and warmer can the wisdom and experience you accumulated over decades make your family and our society? This was the story of Queen Jeonghui, the magnificent life of a woman who chose her era and led it. The History Storyteller will return next time with another profound historical narrative that resonates with your hearts.